When you take a look at the big contenders in the current flagship smartphone market, one would expect to see Apple's latest and greatest iPhone, as well as the best Android devices that Samsung, HTC, and LG could offer. Phones running the Windows operating system are usually regarded as a bit past their prime, usually taking up space on prepaid racks, waiting for their chance to shine again. In Microsoft's first effort to break back into the flagship smartphone market since acquiring Nokia back in 2014, the Microsoft Lumia 950 comes out swinging, but does it actually land any punches? Let's find out. On behalf of RomanTechReviews.com, I'm Phil Begno, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Microsoft Lumia 950. So let's start off with the build quality. This is, in my opinion, a place where this phone doesn't quite match up to other current flagships. In a sea of solid feeling devices with metal or glass backs, the plastic on the 950 leaves a bit to be desired. When I held it for the first time, it immediately felt like something off the prepaid rack, the exact market that Microsoft was trying to break out of with this handset. Not a good start. While the plastic back does allow for the removable battery, I still would have liked the phone to feel a bit better in the hand. While the feel of this phone in the hand may not help solidify its place among other flagships, the specs do help the 950 regain some of its lost ground. The 5.2-inch Quad HD AMOLED display is stunning upon first glance. Text shown on the display is noticeably sharp, thanks to the display's 564 ppi. Users can further customize the warmth and tint of the display in the Extras section of the Settings app. On the rear of the device sits a 20 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization and a triple LED flash. This camera is called upon using a dedicated camera button located just underneath the power button, something you don't really see that often these days. Powering all of these goodies is a Snapdragon 808 processor backed up with 3GB of RAM and a 3000 mAh battery. This device also supports wireless charging, which is a nice bonus if you're into that sort of thing. Also, with 32GB of onboard storage, 29 of which is usable after the operating system, and a microSD card slot that supports up to 200GB of additional space, you won't feel all that cluttered when it comes to keeping your favorite media with you at all times. One feature that I really like to use on the 950 is the Windows Hello feature. When you unlock the phone, an animated eyeball appears. Look directly at the screen, and the phone's infrared sensor matches your iris with a hash stored on the phone's memory. It isn't the most useful feature in the world, but it's definitely a conversation piece. Who needs a fingerprint scanner? Now, back to that camera. As I said earlier, it's a 20 megapixel unit. It also sports an f1.9 aperture, the same as the Samsung Galaxy S6. This camera is capable of getting some super crispy stills, as well as 4K video with 4 microphone audio recording. Auto mode produces some pretty decent shots depending on your lighting. You also have the ability to customize a few different parameters manually, including ISO, shutter speed, white balance, as well as full manual focus. The camera does have its drawbacks though. The optical image stabilization, though fairly advanced, isn't the most effective feature in the world. I noticed some blurry shots in my testing, mostly in fairly low light conditions, but still worth noting. Also, it feels like this phone, though perfectly capable of shooting 4K video, doesn't really like that task all too much, though I feel that's more of a software bug than anything else. Now, piggybacking off of that last bug, it must be said that using the 950 over the past few days hasn't been the smoothest of experiences. I've noticed some significantly slower loading times than my other devices, regardless of my data or Wi-Fi connection. It was to the point where I resorted to also carrying my iPhone 6s Plus with me on a regular basis, just in case I received an important email. While other users have reported their 950s spontaneously rebooting while in use, I haven't noticed that issue myself. However, I have had times where a restart was necessary due to a lockup. I also encountered an issue where I was unable to download anything from the Windows Store, but that was resolved after a software update was applied. Hopefully some of these other issues will be worked out in the same way. This phone does have its pros though. Support of both fast charging via USB Type-C as well as wireless charging adds versatility whenever you need to top off the battery. The battery life itself was a bit vanilla at first, but the software update helped that a bit as well. Also, this device has a feature called Continuum, which looks pretty awesome. I wasn't able to try it out myself due to not having Microsoft's $99 display dock, but basically this feature allows you to connect an external keyboard, mouse, and monitor to your Lumia 950 and use the phone as a desktop computer, while also retaining the ability to operate separately as a phone for receiving SMS messages and other notifications. Now, for the part that I was really looking forward to, Windows 10 Mobile. Now, I haven't used a Windows-based phone since the HTC Tilt back in 2007. When I was using that device, it was an overall enjoyable experience with one main flaw. It seemed a bit clunky compared to other offerings, and after using Windows 10 Mobile, I can't help but reach a similar conclusion. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely been some progress made. The tile-based home screen is great at giving you a lot of information without actually having to open up a specific application, which makes the infomaniac side of me extremely excited. But I have a feeling that the home screen can get a bit cluttered really quickly. The different sized tiles can be confusing at times, and though I do support the modular approach, I just don't see it working all that well on a display of this size. The Microsoft Lumia 950 is a decent device. Like any other smartphone, it has its pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it's hard for me to recommend this phone to anyone who isn't a die-hard Windows Mobile user. And even then, whether or not it's worth the somewhat hardy price tag is still at the discretion of the buyer. Hey guys, Phil here. Big thanks for checking out that video. Big thanks to the folks over at AT&T for sending this device out for me for a review. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up down below. It helps me out a lot. If you didn't, go ahead and hit the thumbs down. I completely understand. Go ahead and subscribe to my videos if you want to see more like this whenever I produce it. As always, on behalf of RomanTechReviews.com, I've been Phil Begno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.